Have we lost ourselves? Somewhere we live inside. Somewhere live inside. We were meant to live for so much more. Have we lost ourselves? Alright, what up, guys? I'm coming in hot today. I'm coming in hot. I'm recording this at like what time is it? 11:30 a.m. instead of recording it at like 4 in the afternoon. 2 hours after I woke up. Today I'm recording this 2 hours after I woke up at 9 in the morning instead of like 2 in the afternoon. So I'm hopped up. I'm ready to rip. I'm ready to go. You know, we have more Dark Harvest to talk about. So welcome to part 5 of Dark Harvest Rambling series. Quick little recap. In the last video, Chris secured some documents from Heather's house and did a little update video going through them. But in that update video, it kind of looks like you can see someone walking around in the back of in his front yard outside of the window that he's sitting in front of. And in the last video, we kind of discussed, I kind of discussed that it was potentially, to me, it kind of looked like Chris and Alex's friend Jesse, which Jesse has been acting goofy as hell. Well, he's just there's been some like small little weird things going on with Jesse over the past couple of videos, in my opinion. So there's something going on with their friend Jesse, and we don't really know what the fuck is going on with him, but it could be significant. That being said, though, let us just jump into it. Okay, so the first video of today that we are on takes place right after update number 5, and we are now on Rainwood Memorial Elementary School. This is the longest video in Dark Harvest that we have come across so far. So, it comes in at a whopping 17 minutes. So, this is going to be a bit of a journey. This is also one of the more creepy videos of the series, in my opinion. But you'll understand why as I go through it. So yeah, let us just jump into it. Alright, so the video starts, and Chris and Alex are driving to Rainwood Memorial Elementary School, and They be vibing and stuff. They're just talking in the car, but they talk about how Daniel Shipman from the Project Egypt blog helped them set up this little interview at the school with someone, so they could ask questions about the Rainwood Memorial School, which, if you remember from earlier, the video Rainwood, uploaded by Kind von der Ritter. There's there's stuff going on at this school, most likely. There's things weird about this school, because the Rainwood day camp had 72 children just kind of disappear from it out of nowhere. Out of pocket also is what I would call it. But yeah. So there's shit going on. Alright, so they walk in, they get to the school, they walk into it. Building looks, after hours, lights are off. Some of the lights are still on, but most of the lights are off, dark as fuck. Walking down the hallway, and Chris is like, yo, you hear something? And Alex is like, just the wind, bro. And, they keep going, but Rainwood Memorial Elementary School, and there's already weird shit going on. So, they start walking through the building, and they get to this dark-ass part of the building, creepy as hell. They walk into this auditorium, and the auditorium, when they enter it, at first, the camera distorts a little bit, but then goes back to normal. And this auditorium just looks creepy as hell. It just looks weird as fucking creepy as hell. So, you know, the stage light is on, but none of the other lights are on. It looks weird as hell, bro. They walk out of the auditorium and get back to a lit part of the building, a less creepy part of the building. This fucking building is weird, though. Weird as fuck already. So, one of the first things that happens when they get back to the lit part of the building is they're just walking down a hallway, and then from a doorway, a basketball just bounces and just hits Alex in the leg. They walk towards that doorway and they're like, hello? Anyone there? Type shit, right? And, no one's there. No one threw no one bounced the fucking basketball at him. That's some, you know, they're doing some fucking they're doing some, like, fucking horror movie, small creepy child trope, you know, where the ball bounces, then you see the ghost child. But in this one, the ball bounces and you see no one, so it has a sense of even creepier. That shit is just weird. As I was saying before, there's something weird going on with this building. Dude, what the fuck? So, they just kind of end off that little moment by going, dude, this place gives me the creeps. And they continue walking. So, they find an elevator, and they decide, you know, let's go to the third floor. That's probably where, you know, the executive part of the building is, you know, the people that run it and stuff. The person that we're trying to interview is most likely on that third floor. So, they go to that third floor. And, well, in this elevator, you know, everything's seemingly normal so far. Alex is like, "Ayo, Chris, your shoe's untied. You don't want to trip, boy." So Chris starts to tie his shoe, and he points the camera towards the back of the elevator, towards the back of the window on the elevator, because it's an elevator with windows in it, so, you know, that obviously always feels great, being able to see your death while you're plummeting. But, but he points the camera towards the back of it, and while the floors are going up, a big tall man is there. You know, the camera distortion happens, and then we see a big tall man there watching Chris and Alex in this building. The big tall slendy guy is there. He has appeared. He's here. I know, some weird ass fucking shit, but yeah. Bro is in the building. That's great, right? That's always great. But Chris and Alex don't notice that there was a big tall man there, and they keep walking. Now I wanna go towards the comments. I mean, not towards the comments, the description, to read it to you. I know this is midway through the video, and I usually read the description at the beginning or the end, but I will read it now. Daniel of Project Egypt blog arranged us a meeting with the representative from the Rainwood Memorial Elementary School in hopes of there being a connection between the school and the former day camp. Chris then writes, "I did not notice that fucking thing when we were there. There's something very, very wrong with that school." Yeah, no, I can agree. And, so Chris and Alex, they start walking away from the elevator. Did not notice the big guy. Something that they do notice, though, is on the third floor, it smells pretty bad. I don't really know what that means. Maybe, I don't know, some kind of sign of a big guy around? Who knows? So, they walk around this supposed third floor, and they find, like, a pool's closed sign, and there's, like, piping on the ceiling, and they start to realize, we're not on the third floor, we're on the basement. So they kind of think like, oh, maybe we pressed the button wrong or some shit, right? I can guarantee I watched Chris press that third floor button on the elevator. They went up. They definitely went up, right? There's some there's some there's some teleportation fuckery going on in these parts. All right? Just to let you know. You know, there's some teleportation fuckery going on in this building. And they find some stairs in this pool area, right? This basement type area, and they end back up on the first floor again. Then the camera cuts, and they find an employee entrance. So they've come across what they were trying to find, hopefully, at this point. Oh, they find who they were looking for, the representative that Daniel talked to, and it is their friend Matt. Matt was actually in the video where Greg died. So, you know, they have some history with him, but you know, Matt's like, yo, I haven't seen you guys since Greg's, and he says he's the director of activities at this building, right? So they got a friend on the inside. Whoa, hey, they got an inside man now that they didn't know that they had an inside man. But you know, they got a homie here. And so their friend Matt is like, "Hey, yo, you got a camera for the history project?" And they're like, "Look, Matt, we got to level with you. It's not a history project. We got to level with you. We're friends here, so we'll speak honestly." So they talk with Matt a little bit, and they're like, "We've been investigating into Greg's death because they ruled it as a suicide, but we talked to a detective, Detective Amsel, and you know, he thinks it was a killer, and you know, that this is just so yeah, they're kind of investigating into this whole thing. That's what they tell Matt, which is true. Oh, they talk to Matt a little bit about the Rainwood school, right? Matt says that he's been working with the Rainwoods for several years now, and Chris asks him, like, "Ayo, this building looks a little bit like parts of it seem a little abandoned," and Matt tells them that, you know, ever since the incident, budget's been a little tight. Chris is like, "Oh, you talking about the incident in the 50s? The incident Chris is talking about is the one that we know of, where those 72 children went missing at the day camp, right?" But Matt is visibly confused by this. He's like, no. Matt explains that about 6 months or so, one of the students mysteriously vanished, and no one could explain what happened when the students mysteriously vanished, you know? He may not have an explanation for that, but we, the viewers, probably kind of understand what happened to that child, happened to that student. I mean, we've already seen the big tall man in this building, so, you know, it's just something to think about, you know. So Matt says that, you know, person who was working the missing child, the missing student case from like 6 months ago was someone named Detective Ansel. He ruled it as like he doesn't know what the fuck happened to the child, and Matt also says the only reason why the building's still open at the moment is because someone's renting out a section of the building, like the dining hall or something like that. Chris and Alex are like, yo, Matt, it's a little creepy in this fucking building, you know? Matt's like, I understand what you mean. It kind of feels like someone's watching me in the building. Don't worry, Matt. There is someone watching you in the building. He's around. So Matt is like, you guys said something about an incident in the 50s, and they tell him about what Daniel found on his blog. You know, the Rainwood day camp incident with the 72 missing kids. Um, and yeah, Matt is visibly confused yet again. He's like, "What?" And they tell Matt that the same person, the same serial killer that may have been the disappearer of those 72 kids is the same guy that killed Greg. And Matt has this very great line where he's like, "It's like Jack the Ripper's traveling through time." And Matt's like, "No, I never heard about this incident in the 50s. I was never told about this." Matt says that the day camp, all he knows about the day camp is that it is getting, was shut down in the 50s and then reopened in the 90s and then shut down sometime not too long after it was reopened in the 90s, and that it's going to be getting torn down soon. And actually, Matt was sent over there to find things that are whatever else was valuable left in that day camp, and that he shouldn't be doing this, but he's going to give Chris and Alex the things that he found that were valuable because it may help out with Greg. It's kind of weird how I said that. May help out with Greg, and not really. May help out with finding out what happened to Greg is what I should say. So yeah, Matt's gonna give them some valuables, some information or something that he found, you know. So Matt gives them a box of things that he found at the day camp, and there's a little Buddha statue, and then there's some floppy disks. Matt doesn't know what's on the floppy disk because he doesn't have a computer that runs floppy disks, but uh, there's probably some good on there. There's probably some good shit, and Chris is like, isn't this illegal, man? And Matt's like, look, if it helps find out Greg, I'll happily sacrifice my job because it's not really much of a, it kind of sucks being the only person here at this point, and it's not really much of a job, which is pretty understandable. So yeah, Matt's over here being the GOAT. He's giving him some vital info. Shout out to the fella. So Chris asked Matt, he was like, when you went there, did you see any like weird writing on the walls or anything like that? And Matt's like, no, I didn't see anything like that at all. And it's like, weird writing on the walls. Chris is like, we actually went there over the summer, and Matt's like, you went there? You don't have like a key or anything? And Chris is like, look, we can't disclose that information. Matt kind of is like, I get it. And he's like, no, I didn't see anything, just like the normal graffiti, but yeah, no, I didn't see anything like that. That normal graffiti that he's talking about, he probably doesn't think anything of it, but that normal graffiti most likely was still the writing that Chris and Alex saw, but we don't know that for sure. And Matt says, look, you guys can have this floppy disk, and I'll just tell them that I didn't find anything there, and they won't notice anything, right? And Matt is the homie over here. This is the homie right here. He also says that Matt was like, I mean, wasn't there like a fire there a while ago? So I'll tell him that I found nothing there. So Alex is like, after Matt's like, yeah, I won't tell him anything. Alex is like, unless they find this video online, and Matt's like, you guys are posting this stuff online? And Alex and Chris are like, yeah, no, we post online, we get some information back. Matt's like, so that's why you guys know so much. Okay, right? And then, he kind of approves them to post the video and stuff, inadvertently. He doesn't sound panicked for the video to be posted, so they kind of, that's kind of consent and approval enough through conversationally. Not really explicitly said, but it's very much implied. But, yeah, Matt says he's gonna keep the little Buddha statue and just be like, hey, this is what I found there, and that's all I found. And, Chris and Alex take the floppy disks, and then Matt shows them out of the building, and, yeah. That is the end of Rainwood Memorial. That's not the end of this video. We have a slightly long road ahead of us, because we will move on to log entry number 22. So, log entry number 22 starts with Chris and Alex. It starts with Chris apologizing for this taking so long, but they were trying to find some way to play floppy disks, and they couldn't find anything that could play floppy disks, but Greg's brother Jeff, new character just dropped, by the way. Greg's brother is good with computers and was able to burn all of the contents of those floppy disks onto a CD. So they have the CD now, and they're going to test it out. So Chris pops the CD into Alex's computer, and immediately the camera distortion noise starts, that little right? So this is totally gonna go well. This is totally gonna go really well. Yeah. Woo! So, audio distortion playing, and the first thing that happens when the disc goes in is it says, file is corrupted, press any key to continue. So, Alex, being the really smart boy that he is, totally wanting to ensure the safety of his computer, he presses any key to continue. He presses a key, right? And then a bunch of little pop-up windows start overlaying over each other of just a bunch of different shit. And Alex tries to close out of those, and they won't close out. Chris is like, I don't know. I don't think this is supposed to be happening. Maybe we should call Jeff. And Alex panickedly just goes, call Jeff right now. Goddamn. Little dumbass. Press any key to continue. File is corrupted. Press any key to continue. Go fuck yourself. You put this onto yourself, Alex. So Chris starts to try and call Jeff, and Alex says that Alt F4 isn't working, Control Alt Delete isn't working. None of the computer none of the computer shut off program commands are working. Boy, you got a virus. Jeff won't pick up the phone, so Alex is like, yo, call him again. And then his computer crashes, and Chris is like, I don't know, man, just fucking restart it or something, you know? Alex then is being a little bitch and a faggot, and he says, dude, I swear to God, if this computer breaks, I'm gonna kill you. Chris is like, look, man, I didn't know this was gonna fucking happen. If anything, blame Jeff. Jeff's also still not picking up his phone. Chris says, look, man, maybe it'll be okay. And Alex just says, dude, shut up. Fuck you, Alex. Go fuck yourself. So, Alex acts like a little whiny baby bitch. I built this computer myself. Well, he didn't test the file before, right? His computer, they restarted, the computer's working fine. But there's a new file on the computer. 1998 to 1999 record index. He does a virus scan on it, no virus, right? He opens up the file, and it looks like a bunch of records. So they open up this, and it looks like a bunch of like records, but it's just a bunch of like Rainwood Day Camp records, right? There was about, from what it looked like in the Rainwood Memorial Elementary School video, it looked like there was a good like 5 to 6 to 7 floppy disks worth of records, right? But all they have now is just one record, and it seems that that file corrupted must have been like a suicide switch, pretty much. You know, you open up the file, and if it's not on an authorized computer or some shit like that, you know, it kills itself. Some shit like that, right? I'm making up funny little computer jargon right now. So because I don't know shit about computers, but yeah, it seems like these records killed themselves and left them with just kind of useless information. Chris and Alex are pretty disappointed by this, but you know. But we get a note at the end of the video. Shortly after recording this video, we did make an interesting discovery in the text file named 1998 to 1999 record index.txt. And they highlight a little thing titled Unsolved Conspiracies. Apparently, the Rainwood Day Camp was in possession of a documentary called Unsolved Conspiracies. We found the fact that a day camp had such a video to be very strange. We decided to look into that more, as it has at least piqued our interest. Right, and then we move on to the next video. But I'm going to read the description of this video first before I tell you the title of the video. Alright, so a few weeks after digging through pages of Google searches, we finally stumbled on something interesting. On some random history forum, we found a post mentioning a canceled History Channel show from 1998 called Unsolved Conspiracies. We then downloaded the video, which is what we have just posted here. My mind is totally blown. I'm not one to believe in conspiracy theories, but this makes fucking sense. I have this feeling that the anonymous witness in this video is Mark McComber. This explains a lot, but still what this has to do with me and Alex personally, I have no fucking clue. To say I'm on edge right now would be an understatement. So that is the description. And this video is titled Unsolved Conspiracies Season 1 Episode 0 in parentheses Pilot. Okay. Now, I have a lot of feelings about this video, but I will go through those feelings after we go through the video itself. Bless me. Video starts, a little History Channel logo comes up, and then it says Unsolved Conspiracies, the Princeton Experiment. Video starts, and it essentially says that during the space race, a bunch of Nazi scientists were acquisitioned by the U.S. to help them out, right? One of these was Dr. Hans Stroff, the program director of the Princeton Experiment. Now, this program director's name is either like Hans Stroffman or like Hans Hoffman or some shit like that. I don't know. So, this video is shitty audio, but yeah. Also describes that this program director was really obsessed with like myths and old like Egyptian myths and stuff like that, and a lot of his Nazi associates were also obsessed with this kind of stuff. And when he became the program director, these myths became the basis for the Princeton experiment. The experiment itself was an attempt to recreate the ancient Egyptian rite of Gorai-Le-Hotep. And this rite would create a bridge that would allow a god into our world. Now, on the screen right now, what you can see while this is being described is an ancient Egyptian picture of a few people crowded around a very tall man, a very tall, dark man. This Gorai-Le-Hotep that they mention. The legend also stated that anyone who passed over into this world would also become a Gorai Lehotep. That's just a legend, right? We kind of, from what we can kind of pick up from the very tall man from Gorai Lehotep himself, is that if you enter into his world, wherever that is, it's not really. You're not going to become a Gora Leotep. You're going to become food for the gods. You're right. You're going to become food for this god, for Gora Lehotep himself. Right. You're not going to pass over. You're just gonna become consumed by him. Right. And I'm going to mention this now. That, you know, these people, they pass over from our world to something in this series that will be described later as the fourth world, right? I can't remember if it's described later in this series or if it's described in a collab video that happens with another Slenderverse series that we will get to soon, because that actually, we're not too far away from that, but yeah. But the program director was very inspired to try and recreate this ritual when a tablet describing this rite was rediscovered by a German archaeologist named Heinrich Kaufmann, which we have heard about before from the Project Egypt blog. Many people called Heinrich Kaufmann a fraud for finding this tablet, right? Just kind of being like, that shit's not real. But the program director thought differently. He thought that this tablet could be the key. It also describes that the program director used concentration camp absentees in an attempt to create a Gorai Leotep, right? They used concentration camp detainees, I meant to say, not absentees. You know, that important material, human beings, right? But all right. Then in the next part, some text comes up on the screen. The following clip is an eyewitness account of the Princeton experiment. Much of the information in documentarian this program has received was given to us by this witness. In the interest of safety, our witness has asked that we conceal his identity. So this eyewitness, you know, he's fully blacked out, and his voice is all muffled and stuff, right? He wants to stay anonymous. But I will read all of the subtitles to you. He says, I knew Dr. Heinfoff, I think that's his name. Personally, he didn't seem all that unusual to me. He seemed a little quiet, but nothing that unusual. I didn't know much of his background either. The anonymous man then says, I was working with Professor Gallagher. He, in parentheses, Frohoff, was completely obsessed with this Egyptian myth. Then he says, well, it's not really a myth if it's true, isn't it? He then describes, he wanted to open up a rift and see a Gorai Lehotep with his own eyes. And then he also says, I think he was a part of this cult. He was obsessed with it. He had little value for human life. So he just used them. He used all of these poor people. Then the anonymous man then says, I was lucky to survive. He then says, you have no idea the terror that I lived through. The after effects of that encounter I'm still living with to this day. And describes what he experienced. He says, just imagine for one moment a bright flash of light, and then every being of your existence is being pulled toward this light, and you're fighting to hold on. And then imagine this monster appears in front of you, starts tearing people to shreds. I could hear it in my head. I could hear these noises. I wasn't hearing it in my ears, though. I was hearing it in my head. And then he says, I just ran as far as I could. I don't know why I survived. No one else did. He then says, if this show ever airs, you won't be seeing me around for very long. I know 2 groups that will want me gone for exposing this information. Most people watching this program won't even believe what I'm saying. But this is all true. There is a monster slowly destroying this world. Unless this information is heard, nothing will stop it. Who were wondering about the Princeton experiment? That's the Princeton experiment. And that is the last thing that this anonymous witness says in the video. To me, it very much does sound like this could be that Mark McComber. He had those documents about the Princeton experiment. That is most likely what happened in that second trial. From those documents that Chris found in Heather's lockbox. Then the next part describes that the U.S. was looking for any leg up that they could have on the Soviets during the space race. And so they kind of willy-nilly hired Frohoff without any research to be the project director, the program director of the Princeton experiment. They then also hired Lieutenant Colonel Walker. Lieutenant Colonel Everett Walker became the military supervisor for the project that would be known as the Princeton experiment. So now we understand. Now we have all 3 of these names. Program director Hans Frohoff. We have Lieutenant Colonel Everett Walker, and we have Professor Gallagher and Mark McComber as the 4 people in correspondence on that document that Chris was able to secure. And we also get confirmed that this Princeton experiment was held at a place called the Atlantic Test Site. The video ends with a question. Is the Atlantic Test Site really just to test out satellites and find signals? Or is it really a place that theorists claim holds a wormhole into another dimension? And that is the end of Unsolved Conspiracies Season 1, Episode 11. That, in my opinion, is such a fucking good video on the channel. I am definitely going to link the Dark Harvest channel in the description, right? But I'm also going to link this video in the description, because I think everyone should go and watch it. It is such a, in my opinion, well-made episode of the series. It's so cool. It, genuinely does feel like an episode, like a snippet of some kind of History Channel show, but it feels incomplete, right? Because it's a pilot and it was never released, right? It's super cool. I genuinely love that video. It's one of my favorite parts of this whole series. It's one of the things that makes me think yo, season 2 of Dark Harvest is where the series gets really, really fucking good. Because we get videos like Unsolved Conspiracies, season 1, episode 11, in brackets, pilot. That is such a fucking good video. So I will plop that in the description of this video. Yeah. This is... That is also more damning information that Chris and Alex have just plopped onto the internet against this cult, right? So, you know, it's just not, we've already known that there are people watching Chris and Alex now. We've seen people in Chris's yard at this point. We've seen, people outside of Alex's house. We know that these people are being watched by some unknown group because they've been meddling around too much and they've looked down the rabbit hole too far and they fell in, right? So they're in deep now. And that being said, let us move on to the next video. Now we move on to the next video. February 24th. So the video starts. Chris is sitting in his living room, messing around on his computer and stuff. He's recording himself. And then we notice that he hears something or, something sketches him out. So he grabs the camera, he locks the front door, and then he starts walking around the house trying to check out what the hell is going on. He goes upstairs and he looks outside of his window and he sees a masked man. Wearing the same kind of mask that those people were wearing in the My Final Betrayal video. That cult. There's one of those cultists outside of his house. And when he notices them outside the window, the cultist notices Chris too. And we see the cultists start to rush towards his house. Chris then starts to panically run out of the room. I can understand that, Then rushes downstairs to check it out. Starts nervously walking around the downstairs of his house, kind of checking all corners and stuff like that, looking in every room. Looks into the dining room looking area, doesn't see anything. Looks towards another part of the house, towards the living room, doesn't see anything. Looks towards this back door looking thing in his house, doesn't see anything either. I'd be fucking panicked, bro. I'd be flipping shit right now. No joke. Goes into the kitchen, looks into the backyard looking area, doesn't see anything either. Still panicked. Grabs a knife out of the kitchen. A big fucker. Big fucking knife. Big fucking kitchen knife. He then sits on the couch with the knife, and you hear him try and call 911, and then he hears a thud or something upstairs. He rushes upstairs, and there is a man with a mask now in his house, standing near his room. He then rushes down the stairs, fumbles a little bit trying to go for the front door, gets that front door open, and there's about... Let me go back and count. It's to his front door, and there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's about 6 masked motherfuckers, all wearing the same mask that these cultists were wearing. The same mask that the dude in the Day Camp Revisited video was wearing. There's about 6 of these dudes at his front door. Chris is trapped. He's got a dude behind him and he's got about 6 in front of him right outside of his house. He's trapped. He's fucked. He rushes back upstairs and the dude up there is still in front of him. He rushes past him and hides in the bathroom. We don't know what happened when he rushed into the guy, but we can see that the dude upstairs is holding something like this, so most likely a knife, right? And while he's rushing into the bathroom, we could hear we could hear someone downstairs yelling, "Get the get the something like that, right?" We could hear him yell something, and then we can't really. It's kind of unintelligible what he says after that. And we see that while trying to rush into the bathroom, Chris has been stabbed by that man who was in his upstairs. He zips his coat down and we can see that he has blood coming from his shirt area, or from his stomach area on his shirt. Chris is now bleeding, trapped in a bathroom, and there's 7 dudes on the other side of that door. Chris is in a fucky ass situation. Chris now hides in the shower we could hear someone on the other side yelling, "Get that door open! Get that door open! Go search his room!" The commotion is all still happening at Chris's house, and while he's bleeding in the tub, we can see him start to pull out his phone. We then cut to Alex's camera's perspective. His phone starts ringing, and he picks it up. Wait, no, his phone doesn't start ringing. He gets a text from Chris. It says, like, "I'm in the bathroom, please help," something like that, right? It's too blurry to see, but we can kind of guess what Chris texted him. "I'm in the bathroom, please come get me, please help," right? So Alex picks up his camera, points his camera at the phone. Alex then rushes downstairs, puts his little shoes on, is like, "Yo, Mom, I gotta go to Chris's," rushes out of the house, and then we cut to footage of Alex driving to Chris's house, panicked, driving as fast as he can while there's other cars in front of him. Alex is driving as fast as he can to Chris's house. He calls Chris, and all he asks is, Chris, who's they?" Someone picks up that phone, right? Because we know that Alex is talking to someone. Someone picked up that phone. Maybe Chris, maybe not. And then after we hear the phone hang up, and Alex just goes, "Fuck!" Right? A panicked, angered fuck. Sorry, gotta take a sip of my water, dude. Gotta stay hydrated. Boys, you gotta stay hydrated out there. Alex then gets angry at the car in front of him and says, "Get the fuck off the road." Alex is speeding as fast as he can to Chris's house right now. Alex doesn't know what has happened at Chris's house yet, but he does understand that this is the kind of situation where he needs to go. The car that was being slow in front of Alex then parks in front of Chris's house. Alex is like, "Are you fucking serious?" Right? And panically grabs his camera, right? Gets out of the car and starts chasing after the people that were at Chris's house, that parked in front of Chris's house. Shouts at him, "Get back here!" But those people, they get away. Alex realizes, I gotta go. And I gotta go into Chris's house. I gotta see if he's okay. Alex rushes into Chris's house. Chris then rushes. Alex then rushes around his house yelling for Chris. Gets upstairs, gets to the bathroom. The bathroom door is locked. Camera cuts, and we cut back to Alex seemingly breaking open the lock, most likely with that skeleton key or, just some kind of lock-picking technique, right? Because the bathroom door is locked. Chris, you were smart about that. And Alex rushes into the bathroom, opens up the shower door to find Chris laying in the tub, bleeding, seemingly knocked out, passed out at this point, unconscious. And that is the end of the video, February 23rd. And now we move on to log entry number 23. Wait. Before we move on to log entry number 23, let me read the description. "I got there as fast as I could. They took the black book and the documents. Chris is in stable condition. Await further updates." That is a message in the description from Alex. Yeah, holy fuck. And now we move on to log entry number 23. Log entry number 23 starts. Chris is walking. Alex and Chris are at the police station. Alex is in the car, and Chris is walking back out to the car. And Alex says, "Oh, there he is." So Chris seems to be doing fine since his injuries. But then Chris gets into the car. Alex is like, "How you doing, buddy?" Chris doesn't say anything. Alex is like, "You're gonna need to take this camera because I can't drive, and I can't drive and record at the same time." Chris is kind of just like looks slumped down. He looks kind of fucked. He doesn't look like his injuries are affecting him, but he looks emotionally kind of like fucked, right? And a lot of this recording, he's kind of just like holding the camera down, not really pointing it at anything. He's just holding the camera while it records. He's not really pointing the camera at anything like he usually would. He's not. Seems kind of dejected. Just a lot of stuff. You know, he seems like he's going through a lot. In that old brain of his, looks kind of just dead eyed. Um, and oh, what the fuck? Oh god, what did I just do? Oh god, what did I just do? Okay, sorry, I accidentally dropped my phone a little bit, and then some settings fucked up on the recording, but but it seems to be all good, right? Right? We all good here? Yeah, we all good. The Zoom, funny little Zoom. Um, but Alex asks him, so what the police talk about, and we get like no answer from Chris at all. No words come out of his mouth. So Alex asks Chris some like basic questions, like, "Hey buddy, you want some food? You know, we can go get some Five Guys. Uh, yeah, are you gonna just hold the camera like that? Or are you gonna, that's the reason we have the cameras so we can film." He kind of sounds like a little concerned mother. Um, and Chris is kind of just like slumped. He's just holding the camera. It's just pointing at his lap, his clothing, the floor. Everything but what they would usually film. Um, Camera then cuts, and we get to Alex says that last night he had called Heather and explained what they did at her house, right? Took the documents and explained just everything, right? Told her the truth, right? Explained the situation to her. Alex then says that, she was frustrated because we lied to her face, but she's not going to press charges due to Chris's injury and, what happened, the whole situation. And, but Alex is like, "Hey, Chris, maybe you could, like, fake a smile or something, just because she probably could have fucked your life over if she pressed charges, so, just be civil, be chill, right? That kind of thing." And Chris doesn't respond back. He's still holding the camera down. He's still dead as hell. Um, Alex, uh, the camera cuts, and they're at Heather's house now. And Alex has Chris record, and Chris actually does record this time. Alex is like, "Can you actually properly film it?" Chris actually does. He points the camera at Alex, points the camera at Heather when she's talking, that kind of stuff. But Heather wants to tell them something. So Heather starts talking. She says that she also lied to them about her grandfather, that she didn't really know much about him, but she does. She didn't lie about him disappearing, but there's more to it that Chris and Alex should know. Before before her grandfather, Mark McComber, went missing, he was admitted into a mental hospital. Alex asked why was he put in there. Heather's grandfather and Heather's dad got into this big argument that she didn't really know what was about until she ended up finding out that they were both members of the secret society. And Heather's grandfather, Mark McComber, was trying to reason with Heather's dad, trying to tell him to leave the secret society that they were both in with him, right? Because Mark McComber was in the secret society, seeming like he wanted to leave, and trying to get his son, most likely, or at least his son-in-law. We don't really know which side of the family Mark McComber comes from, dad or mother, but it would make sense because a lot of a lot of marriages, the wife takes the husband's name. It would make a lot of sense that it would be, Mark McComber, and then Heather's last name is McComber also. It would make a lot of sense that it would probably be Mark McComber's son, the father of Heather. That would just make a lot of sense, right? That's just going into too much detail that we don't really need to actually care about. It doesn't really matter. What we do need to care about is that Mark McComber was trying to leave the secret society, and he was trying to get Heather's dad to also leave the secret society. And from what we can pick up, this eventually ended with Mark McComber getting put into a mental hospital. Most likely for reasons that he doesn't deserve to be in a mental hospital. He probably wasn't fully mentally sane, but he was probably sane enough. But if we kind of go off of a lot of things from the Unsolved Conspiracies video and the video where Chris is reading out the documents and stuff, seemingly, if we do believe that eyewitness was Mark McComber, it would make a lot of sense that he seemingly went a little insane from this whole situation, but probably not truly insane, more like learned the truth, and the truth is scary, and it kind of led him down a path. Heather explains that her father was very stubborn, and that her grandfather felt that he was misled, and it took him a while to realize that he was misled by this secret society. He wanted to leave, but Heather's father just couldn't believe that. And we then also get confirmation that, the father manipulated the whole situation and got Mark McComber put into a mental hospital because, everything that he was talking about was crazy, and he's just a crazy old man, and just put him away, right? Just put him away. Doesn't need to be in society anymore, and the whole thing like that, right? Their father is starting to sound a little like a villain over here, like a little bit of a villainous character. A villainous character being manipulated by a cult, right? Most likely the same kind of cult that went into Chris's house, that was using the day camp, all this stuff. Pictures being painted here, but let's go through this video first, then I will go over the whole big picture that I kind of think. We're gonna end this video off with some big theories, because the log entry number 23 is the last video that we're gonna go over in this one. But before we end this off, I want to kind of discuss some thoughts that I have. But Heather explains also that after this whole situation, her father and her mother started having arguments, and one day her father just kind of got up and left. Alex asks, what were these fights about? Heather says, the secret society. And Heather says that she doesn't really know what the secret society is about. She's kind of guessed like the Freemasons, right? Because Freemasons are still around, but you don't really know much about what's going on with them. But yeah. Right. So in this next part, Alex asks Heather, do you know anything specific about what these big arguments between your grandfather and your father were? And we start to get a little bit of a timeline here. So in 98, Heather's father was very, very set in his ways, didn't believe that there was anything wrong with the cult. So Heather's grandfather, Mark McComber, sent these files of the society to the History Channel. But Alex asked, do you know what this show was? Heather says, I don't even think it was aired. But, he sent all of this information about the secret society that was supposed to be secret to the History Channel. And this caused a whole chain of events where after sending this information, the arguments got bigger, they got worse, and then eventually it ended with Mark McComber getting sent to an institution in 2001. Alex asked, was this like the last time you saw your grandfather? And Heather said that she went to visit him one time in the institution, and he wasn't the same. He seemed a little off, a little unnerved, dejected, right? Kind of like how Chris is acting at the moment, right? So maybe a correlation there of something going on in bad faith. Here, that actually makes me think of... I want to read the description right now before we continue on with this little part. Okay, so this description is written by Alex, and it says, this footage is actually from a few days ago. Me and Chris went over to talk with Heather McComber again. Given the situation and Chris's injuries, she isn't going to press charges. Right? We already know that. But this little ending part, you may have noticed Chris's behavior. He wasn't like that in the hospital, although he did seem quiet. But he's barely said anything since the police interviewed him about the incident on February 24th. Right? So we take that little part in the description. He hasn't said much since February 24th when the police interviewed him. And we take what Heather's saying about her grandfather in the institution. Seems like we have a slight little correlation here of, you know, people being unnerved and kind of fucked up after talking to officials or after getting sent somewhere, right? Especially when it involves stuff around this cult. So that would make a lot of sense. But the next thing that Heather says after saying that her grandfather was unnerved and acting off in this institution is also his bathrobe and his pajamas were like dirty. Now, where have we seen like a robe that kind of looks like a bathrobe and like pajama type wear before? Log number 12. When Chris and Alex saw Kind von der Ritter. We also saw it in the video in Kind von der Ritter's very first video, 218, when he's inside of Chris's house. So, a man wearing dirty bathrobes and pajamas. Yeah, as I said, I will talk more about what we need to talk about in the next part. At the end of this video, I'm gonna try and paint a bigger picture here for you all, but I'm kind of hinting at that for now. But I will attempt to paint a bigger picture. Next part that Heather says is the last thing her grandfather said to her. Last thing Mark McComber ever said to Heather was, "He's going to make it all better." And Heather says that she doesn't really know what that means, but it's always stuck with her. Alex asks, so did he, like, escape or anything? And Heather says, like, a year later he escaped. Oh. Heather then apologizes for not being truthful with them. And Alex says, you know, it's fine, we haven't been truthful to you either, so... you know, they're even. Even on the terms of being truthful, not like breaking into a room and stealing shit from her, but yeah, it's the whole thing. They're on good terms, seemingly. So, Alex starts to explain the situation to Heather. Pretty much, of what they haven't been truthful about. And he's like, Heather, can you grab the box for us? I need to explain something. And on the side of the box is that symbol, right? The one that's going to be in the thumbnail of this video. The little triangular symbol with the lines in the circle. Most likely the symbol of that secret society at this point. Alex starts to explain that they first saw that symbol at the day camp. While Alex is explaining all of this stuff, Chris hands the camera back to Alex and he says, hold it, right? Chris then walks off, and Alex continues to explain that, they found this video, the My Final Betrayal video, where it seems like there was like a cult-like gathering here at the day camp, and it seems like they killed someone. I almost said killed it. And then we cut a little bit to footage of Chris messing with his bandages. And Heather asks, like, "Heyo, are you okay?" No response there. But then Alex goes back to explaining, like, they boarded the day camp up a few days after they went there. And then Alex apologizes for lying and, he explained why they lied and why Chris got so intrigued by this box and everything like that, right? Just the whole reasoning, it was all because of that symbol, right? That's why they got so intrigued by this whole thing. And while all of this is going on, Chris is acting so fucking weird, man. He's, like, changing his, like, bandages in, like, another room and, like, fucking walks up with, like, the bloody bandage and asks, "Hey, you got a trash can?" And then, walks off to go put it into the trash can. And, then Heather's like, is he okay? And Alex is like, just kind of sadly says yeah. And the video ends there. So, yeah. That is where we're going to end off reviewing, going over and recapping the videos so far. Well, we know at the moment, Chris is not doing too okay. He seems to be kind of very mentally dejected. Just not really doing too great at the moment. And Alex is kind of leading the charge on this little investigation that is still going on. But we have a bigger picture to kind of go over. And that is about Mark McComber. So, what we know is that Mark McComber was in this secret society, and before that he was working on a project called the Princeton Experiment. And we know that something went weird with that Princeton experiment from the Unsolved Conspiracies video. Mark McComber sent in this information about this experiment to Unsolved Conspiracies, and that's where I think that this eyewitness is Mark McComber in this, like, little thing. Now, Kind von der Ritter, that channel kind of seems like someone who's very much in the know about all of the hip happenings of this world, right? So, Mark McComber tries to leave this cult. It doesn't go too well. Kind von der Ritter keeps sending little, like, information to Chris and Alex, sometimes in their own email. I mean, that's how they got the My Final Betrayal video. It would make a lot of sense if Mark McComber sending information to History Channel about this cult and the Princeton experiment, Kind von der Ritter sending information to Chris and Alex, like videos of this cult. It would make a lot of sense if Mark McComber and Kind von der Ritter were the same person. And it would also make a lot of sense that Mark McComber had this, like, dirty-ass bathrobe, and the only times that we've ever seen Kind von der Ritter in person, he's been wearing dirty-ass bathrobe and pajamas and hiding his face with some sort of mask type thing. It would just make a lot of sense, right? So, that's this bigger picture that I'm kind of trying to get at here is Mark McComber is Kind von der Ritter. But yeah. That is where we are going to end off this video. I also just realized nothing to do with Jesse this video. Nothing to do with Jesse this video at all. I really wonder when that's going to come back up. But who knows? You know, soon. Soon, I'd say so. I'd say very soon. But for now, this is where we will end off with our Dark Harvest discussion. Thank you for watching. In the next video, we will continue with log entry number 24. But for now, we are done. So, Bro Fist.